Welcome to Grawlix Nights, the Grawlix Podcast live show. I'm Randy.
I'm Melanie.
And I'm Jesse.
Hey, everybody, what's going on? Welcome to Doppelgrawlix.
Doppelgrawlix.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Hey, so we're a little late. You know, given like we're always late when I'm like, so we're a little late, you know, we're real late.
But it's for good reason. It's because Randall is a wonderful son.
That's true. Yeah.
And yes, we'll just leave it with that. So here's what's on the agenda. We're going to do Monster of the Week, still rolling just a little, Savannah asked. Just a little. Just a little bit.
I mean, we're only 10 minutes. Only 10 minutes.
We're only 10 minutes.
Later than our latest. The
Than
latest.
Our normal,
Yeah.
Than our normal late. What was I saying? Monster of the Week. We're doing that. It's October. And the monster this week is Doppelgangers, evil twins, clones, pod people. Podcast people.
I almost wanted to go They Live, but then again, I remember, like we've talked about They Live at least on the GCU. No, we haven't on GCU, have we? We've talked about it somewhere. I think we talked about it here.
We might have talked about it here.
Yeah.
Hey, Paul. By the way, hi. No problem. You'll hear us in the future. He said he'll catch the replay. He slammed this week.
Okay. But as many years as we've been doing this, I can't imagine we haven't talked about it at some point, really.
Right.
It's amazing. They Live.
Yeah. It's Roddy Piper
I
in
was
a
just
John
gonna say,
Carpenter movie.
Roddy Piper.
And Keith David. It's amazing. It's got like a 15-minute long fist fight. It's so good. That scene just goes forever. It's ridiculous.
Oh my God. Yeah.
It's like excess.
And they're still friends at the end.
And, you know, it's Carpenter at his most like political, which I enjoy. I don't know what his politics are like now, but I think I would have enjoyed a younger Carpenter politics.
Speaking of politics, you know what's happening right now? We are back to back with a town hall. That's happening
really?
like literally right now.
Oh. Well,
Not to get political. Huge if true.
Yeah. But more entertaining.
Our listeners. Actually, some of our listeners, the ones I know of anyway, they do pay attention to that stuff.
Yeah.
Well, maybe not Savannah, apparently. OMFG, the stupid town halls.
Yeah.
I mean, it's weird. It's a weird decision. You like create a ratings war in the middle of an election. That's dumb.
It's a Trump re-election
That's
period.
I mean, it's the most 2020 election thing possible, but
completely on brand.
So bizarre.
Yeah.
This is the world we live in. Reality
is a TV show now. Let's see. Yeah, I'm gonna sing at you. No, I know, Savannah. You pay attention. You'll catch the replays. You'll catch the important parts later. It's kind of how I do most times. And then we got some. It looks like we got some news. I didn't collect it this time because I was running. I'm the reason we're late tonight. I was running way behind. So yeah, it looks like Jesse got us some good news, news.
It's news. I don't know if it's good news or not.
And
bad news.
We got a ridiculous trailer, which is, it's so I want to start talking about it just because like the trailer is so banking on this one actor that we seem to like to talk about. So
yeah,
we'll get there. We'll get there.
That's gonna be the cherry on top, ladies and gentlemen.
So, what have you guys been watching? Anything interesting?
Interesting. That's a difficult.
Okay, have you been watching anything?
I was looking for a evil twin, doppelganger type of a movie. And I'm lazy, so I'm like, I'm going to have to look at Netflix. But you can't just search stuff like that on Netflix. So I just went through and I'm like, this looks like it might have a doppelganger in it. And then just watched like 4 extra crap movies. Just because maybe they had them in there. But they didn't.
What'd you watch? Anything?
You want to know already what I watched?
Oh no,
no,
I mean
the
the rejects.
I watched In the Tall Grass, which I actually had been interested in about because it looks like Children of the Corn to me. But it's not great.
Yeah.
No, it's really not. And then I watched. Jeez, what's it called? It's got Topher Grace in it.
Really?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember what it was called.
Spider-Man 3.
No, it was like, I don't know. Divergent. No, not Divergent. That's a thing. I don't know. Fractured. Something. Some mental. Delirium. That's what it's called. Delirium.
I just saw him in something too. That's bizarre.
Yeah. I mean, he was actually not that bad. He wasn't great though, but he was the best thing about it. Which, if that tells you anything, it was not that great of a movie. Not that I have like a strong hate for him. I think he might not be a really nice person in her life, and it shows through, in my opinion. And then what else did I watch? Something else I can't remember. And then the one thing that I actually am going to talk about because I gave up hope and went with total crap.
Who needs hope?
Kind of how I did. One thing that also, Jesse, could you turn your headphones down just a tad?
All right,
sorry,
but I can't
man.
hear you guys. I won't be able to hear you guys because I'm a deaf person who's old.
Okay, yeah, I was gonna say either you're deaf or your microphone's too good, or maybe a little bit of both.
Yeah, it's all that.
It's all that.
It's all
I'm
that
sorry.
and a bag of chips.
It's his headphones are too strong and his microphone is too great and all of his equipment is just the best. That's the problem.
I mean, many people have said.
That's that's what I hear. That's what people say. Huge. Some would say they're perfect headphones and they're perfect. It's a perfect microphone.
It's such a healthy headphone.
There's never been headphones as strong as this before.
It's really incredible. That's what they say. It might be illegal, it might be immoral, but it's incredible.
So did you guys watch anything? You guys watch anything?
Yeah, okay, thank you. I was gonna say Melanie and I have been watching things. I like that my Melanie and I watching is separate this week. Of Melanie's like, I've been watching this, and I was like, well, I've been watching this with Melanie. The Haunting of Bly Manor is on Netflix. Basically the kind of sequel series, but they're going anthology style sequel series to Haunting of Hill House. And we haven't watched the whole thing, and I'm sure once we blow through the rest of it, we'll have more to say about it. But I'm enjoying it so far. It's different. It's definitely different. It feels smaller scale because it's a smaller cast at this point than the first season. And I was kind of like, Mike Flanagan, this guy, how does he do so much stuff? He's like, we talk about him all the time because he's always got some, like, he's always connected to some stuff. It's not quite, Taika territory, but we seem to talk about him a lot. He what was it, Dr. Sleep and some other stuff, and he had written and directed the entire first season of the Haunting of Hill House. So I was like, how does he do it? The whole nother series, a whole nother season, but he did not write and direct the entire thing this time. I was like, okay, I get it. At a certain point, man, like, how do you fit it all in? But
we were also discussing how he manages to whip out so many Stephen King movies so quick, and I'm like, I think he's just been such a fan probably that he just already has like screen script or whatever like written up and stored away for years.
That's true. He's probably got all the like main Stephen King books already adapted, just waiting, plotting, biding his time. That's about it. Oh, well, we probably talked about it last week. The Boys. The Boys, I think season 2 is over, which seems like it was a short season, but I loved it. That's it.
Yeah.
How about you, Jesse?
I feel like it ended uncomfortably for everyone, which is okay, I guess.
That's appropriate for
with a show like The Boys. That
Yeah.
is appropriate. Because
Okay.
the first season ended uncomfortably. And like, what? That's how you're gonna end it? And then that's how they end it.
I will say the end of season 2 feels like the end of a season because I did not realize it was the end of the season until like we watched the episode and I was like, this must be the season finale, huh? It feels like the end of a season. Yeah, but I enjoyed season 2. It seemed like it was real brief, though. How about you, Jesse? I need to share this. Nobody's watching except for the best fans. The best fans. I don't call them fans. The best listeners.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so yeah, I actually watched a ton. I was like, what did I watch? Because I did the news and stuff, and I was like, the one thing I didn't like prepare myself for is what did I watch? But I actually watched a fair clip, and some of it is terrible. In terms of you should never watch this stuff during a pandemic or during an election season or that kind of thing, like stuff that's real, so like I don't know what in the world possessed me, but I thought, you know what, I'm really feeling like The Walking Dead, and I can't find like the last season of The Walking Dead, or I could find it, but it would take a few steps, and it might be illegal, it might be immoral, it would be incredible, but I couldn't find it. So I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna crack into Fear the Walking Dead. And so I watched like the first 2 episodes of the first 3 episodes, and I was like, holy cow, this is the pandemic. I mean, like, they even have like kids in masks and stuff, and I was like, why am I watching this? So I stopped. But yeah, so I watched a little bit of that. It's interesting because it's similar, but it's also not. And I wonder if as time goes on, the series becomes more like The Walking Dead, or if it always kind of holds that slightly differentness. Do they share showrunners, or are they just produced by the same people?
We had watched, was it the first season of Fear the Walking
I
Dead?
think so, yeah.
And we're so like, we haven't watched The Walking Dead at all for years now.
Yeah. Ever since I got rid of Glenn. Actually, we went a little past that, but
right. And it wasn't a deal of, because I know the show lost a lot of people around that time period. It wasn't a deal of like I wasn't enjoying it. We just kind of fell off, and then I guess maybe it lost a little bit of its hook.
Like it lost like 3 different showrunners too. Like it traded hands so ridiculously that it's like there was a point there was like, why am I still watching this?
But I think, I'm sorry, I'm taking it off topic, but I think Fear the Walking Dead does. Do they combine or meet up or something at some point?
They do eventually. They do eventually, because they even share a character at one point. But at this point, it's like they're indistinguishable. Even in the early days of The Walking Dead, which I don't know if maybe they were trying to go with that flavor, but it just felt like a different show.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was going to say, I remember being really excited for it. I don't think we really we should probably go back to that too. But I remember being excited for it because I was like, they're doing something like completely different. And that's an area that I was really curious about in the world of The Walking Dead.
Right.
With the way that the zombies like deteriorate and stuff, and like water, and how just a whole bunch of stuff. So I'd like to watch more of it actually and see where it goes.
When you get a little bit of the onset of the virus as opposed to Rick waking up and it's the apocalypse.
Yeah, the classic Walking Dead 28 Days Later intro to it.
Yeah.
So I watched that, just a little bit of it, just to get a taste of it, and then realized, what am I doing? This is Color of Space all over again.
Yeah.
So I watched that, and then I thought, oh, what should I follow that up with? What should I wash that down with? I watched that movie that Jon Stewart put together. Steve Carell's the main character in it, called Irresistible, where they basically find Chris Cooper in the middle of like Wisconsin, and basically the major parties get involved in this rinky-dink little mayoral election.
Oh, okay.
And and so that's what it's all about. But there is a fun twist that is also a little bit like, oh, dumb, but at the same time, like, interesting, because so I can't give it away, because it's like that ruins the whole movie if I give it away. But Jon Stewart, he asked lots of political like people in the realm, like, could this happen? And they're like, yeah, I'm surprised it hasn't, like that kind of thing. And so it was an interesting movie. It was a dumb, entertaining little movie that also felt a little too real at the same time.
Right.
Like, yeah, I suppose this could happen. I could see this happening. It felt like it took place in a place like Hooper, Nebraska, but maybe a little bit like a little more robust than that. Maybe closer to like Fremont, but not quite like Fremont. Like Fremont, if Fremont lost Hormel or the chicken plant or something like that.
Right.
So
I'm not from Fremont, so I don't know what that means, but I'm gonna guess it's bad.
I mean, just like a lot of Nebraska towns that aren't like major metropolitan areas are kind of just they're industrial. What's the word I'm looking for? They're dependent on it. They're dependent on that industry. So like in Fremont, it'd be Hormel or Oil Gear, or in Valley, it would be Valmont. Like these big corporations that are industry based tend to prop up the community and the economy for that.
Basically
little area.
boosts a town to a size that would otherwise just be a village. That we've got a lot of little towns in very small towns in Nebraska, and then a few larger towns because they have some type of industry that attracts people. And then we've got Omaha and Lincoln, like the two cities.
I was going to say
Nebraska.
You said anything that's not a big city, and I'm like, so everything besides Omaha and Lincoln was my first thought.
Yeah, basically.
But that's weird, because I always imagined that most of Nebraska relied on like farming and raising cattle, which I guess is still farming. But
it's kind of hand in hand now, like places like Fremont become like a hub center for farming communities, but also that happens to be where the industry is too. Like we used to have a lot of little hub communities, like Hooper would be considered a hub community, but it's so much smaller now because you can do the same things in these bigger locations.
Yeah.
So just for people listening, because I know like Nebraska, this is worse than when like podcasts and shows like people from LA do their like, oh, I got on the 490 or whatever it is, the whatever, oh, that traffic, very inside baseball. This is worse because no one knows anything about Nebraska because it's Nebraska. But just for people's reference, in 2018, the population of Fremont was 26,500 people. So that's what we're talking about. So we're talking about something between that and smaller.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
But go ahead. The population of Nebraska is under 2 million, and the population of Omaha is over 500,000. So if that tells you anything about how it's
we consider big.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bringing it back to Fremont, interestingly enough, like the whole thing about this movie, Irresistible, starring Steve Carell, back to that. Like the whole crux of it is like this viral video that involves Chris Cooper's character. And it's essentially like, what if somebody stood up to the racist ordinance that happened in Fremont, Nebraska, that put us on the national news? And it's like straight out of that, like
interesting.
It's like this YouTube clip goes viral. That's what puts that's what puts him on Steve Carell's radar. And then he's like, we could do something. He's he's the Democratic Party's next big star. He just doesn't know it yet. That whole thing.
Uh-huh.
And so that's the whole crux of it. It is just a popcorn movie. It has a little bit of a moral, but it's heavy-handed and it's kind of hammy. I mean, it's got Steve Carell as the lead, so you kind of know what you're going to get, like a political humor when you've got Steve Carell and Jon Stewart at the head of it. So it was all right. As far as like better stuff that I watched Brigsby Bear and Mother to Earth. Mother to Earth is a documentary about Earthbound, that old school Nintendo game.
Okay.
Well, actually, it was released as the sequel was released on Super Nintendo, but Earthbound was supposed to go to the original NES and just never was released. Like they even translated it. They had it ready to go, and then it didn't wind up there until just a couple of years ago. It landed on, I think it was the Wii Virtual Console.
Yeah.
And so it's a whole documentary about just that first game and like what the crud happened, and how did it get leaked to the emulator sites and all that stuff. So pretty nerdy, but I enjoyed it. Because they interviewed like the people that made the music, and they're actually like big rock stars in Japan, kind of thing, and they talked about their process and how it was different because there was like essentially only X number of sounds that you could actually make, even though they were used to making real music. So
definitely super nerdy. And actually, I've never played the like Earthbound or what was it? Mother, what was it?
Well, it's basically they're all called Mother in Japan. It's Mother 1, 2, and 3. But in America, they changed it to be Earthbound as opposed to Mother Earth. And so it's Earthbound, or they used to call it Earthbound 0 for the one that was supposed to come out. Earthbound for the one that we actually got. And then we've never gotten Mother 3, except as like a fan translation on emulator sites.
But that's definitely right up my alley. So I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, it's super fun. And Brigsby Bear is crazy. Like, I don't even have time to get into that one. It's okay. So, well, I do, but I don't. I'm not going to get deep into this one.
Yeah.
This was a recommendation from Ben Kruger. It's super awesome and so super crazy. You should check out the trailer for this. But the trailer is cagey. Like, it doesn't even give you the full premise. I'll give you a little more of the premise without spoiling. This kid that we meet at the beginning of this movie was essentially abducted as a child by Mark Hamill. And Mark Hamill's fictional wife, like in this is Mark Hamill's character and his wife abduct this baby as a baby, and they live in like a biodome, and they raise this kid in this biodome, leading him to believe that like the world is like toxic and whatnot outside. So every day, like Mark Hamill leaves the biodome with a gas mask on and whatnot, and they like raise this kid, and he's got his own like TV show that he loves. It's called Brigsby Bear. That's all a construct. Everything about this kid's world was a construct of these two abductors. This whole life that he's ever known. So he gets out is the whole thing. Like they find like the police find them. And they bring him back to his biological parents, but all he's ever known is this Brigsby Bear, and the rest of the world doesn't know about it because Mark Hamill created the show. And so he's like talking about the show. He's like super nerding out about the show that nobody knows about. And so like that's the whole thing about the movie is he wants to keep making the show, and he wants the rest of the world to experience the show so that he can make friends, I guess. Is super crazy and awesome at the same time.
Yeah, you had me at this kid is kidnapped by Mark Hamill. I was like, yeah, I'm watching it.
I figured that was a pretty good pitch. Yeah. I would recommend it. It's not like the greatest movie ever, but it is. Whew, it was good. It was good. It was entertaining and weird, super weird. All in my wheelhouse. There's an animatronic bear head. That's like a
Oh.
puppet. That's dang near a puppet right there.
Pretty much, yeah.
I don't know. I don't trust animatronics. They kind of scare me. I've seen animatronics without their faces on, and they're basically just they're big Terminators.
Yeah.
So
They are. That's true.
yeah, I know they're creepy. So I don't trust them. I'd rather use somebody with a hand up their butt than a Terminator in a furry suit.
Terminator furry, a furry
Mhm.
Terminator.
That's what animatronics are, man.
A Furminator.
Furminator. Oh my gosh.
Episode title, Furminator.
Yeah, that's pretty good. That's good. All right, should we move on to
Yes.
yeah, doppelgangers, body
Mhm.
snatchers, evil twins,
Yep.
pod people.
I almost regret not rewatching something good,
Me
but
too.
but
Me
I'm
too.
trying to try new things, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
So who wants to start?
I'll start.
Okay.
I watched for my Evil Doubles movie, Twin Sanity.
Twin Sanity. Oh my God,
I
what's
don't
that?
even know, but this sounds incredible.
Right.
No, it's not. So it's okay. The premise is it's a set of twins. So you know that they're twins from the beginning. But they run a yoga studio together.
God.
And they like invest all their money into it, and then their mom passes away, and they go home to go to the funeral and grieve or whatever. And while they're there in their hometown, one of the twins feel the less aggressive of the two decides she wants to go off and find herself, and goes off to do that at a retreat somewhere where she's doing yoga and taking ayahuasca and dancing in the moonlight, all those tips things. And meanwhile, her more aggressive sister has gone back to LA, is freaking out because she can't find her sister. She was planning on using the money their mom left them for their business, but the other twin took her half of the money out. So now their business is ruined and she goes broke. And then she goes a little crazy and goes looking for her sister. And the movie tries to play this, right? Like the retreat sister is the good, sweet one. But in my opinion, when you go running off with money that you knew your sister was planning on using for your joint business without telling her about it, that doesn't make you the good guy, in my opinion. So right off the bat, I was like, yeah, no, I don't really like, this twin is not the good twin. Neither of them really was the good twin, I don't think. But some people die, and then it goes a little twin sane.
They go to insane.
So, but it's
so interesting.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say, interestingly, Netflix has this listed as Twin Sanity. It's called Twin Sanity. If you search for it, it'll pop up on like IMDb and Rotten Tomatoes, but it's also under the title of Downward Twin, which is odd. Netflix has it as Twin Sanity.
I like that cover better, but I think the other is a better. It describes it better.
So okay, you mentioned some woo-woo stuff, I guess. So do you think Downward Twin is like a poke at yoga or something?
Yes,
Downward Dog?
Yeah, it is.
That's bad. I mean, both titles are pretty bad, but
yeah. And the thing that I think that annoyed me the most, besides the mediocre acting and the stupid plot, was that they kept trying to use like mindfulness and these things to explain, you need to find yourself before you can, be with a group or in another person. whatever, and basically trying to use it and to justify the one twins leaving. And I'm not saying maybe she shouldn't have left if she wasn't happy with the situation, but I really don't. I thought it was, if anything, she caused her sister to go freaking crazy, and the whole thing's her fault. Just be straight with her about it. She's your freaking twin. I'm if you can't talk to your twin, then go get therapy. Don't like run off and tank your business, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's a crap movie. Don't watch it. Although right. I was impressed that they had actual twins as the two actresses.
Oh. Was it actually?
Yes,
no, I guess you're right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, you can tell that they're not the same person, but they do look extremely similar. One's a little chubbier, which is funny. The only funny part in the movie to me was one of them was like, I want pizza. And the other sister's like, you're not getting pizza. I'd have to roll you home. I'll cut up some pineapple. And I'm like, but you're the fat one. How are you going to talk crap on her when you're the chubby one? But anyway.
That's why you talk extra crap then.
Yeah, I guess.
How was okay? No, we don't have to get further into it. I like the idea. So, you know, in my day job, I edit so many podcasts that talk about mindfulness and stuff, and all of that, like so much. I hear about it every day. I like the idea of like a horror or thriller with that plays on those themes, but I don't know. It sounds like this doesn't necessarily do it well here.
It doesn't. The only part that I kind of dug was that like I mentioned earlier, they did ayahuasca, and that's the time when the twin appears, and so we're not sure if she's just tripping out or if anything's actually happening. That was a little fun, but other than that, it was not very good.
Mindful people love their ayahuasca, man.
Or
new agey spiritual people, I guess. Did we both at the same time?
No, I was going, oh. I was just satisfied with myself.
Okay. Who Jesse, do you want to go next or should I go next?
I'm game either way. That's not a decision at all.
Okay, I'll go. I'll make it a call. Okay, so like Melanie, there's so many. I should have just watched a good movie because really, like when I was thinking about it, because you know, we'd searched up doppelganger movies, and you get a whole list. It's like, oh yeah, there's some good ones. Melanie was contemplating Vertigo, which popped up at a lot of lists, which I didn't even think about. But yeah, there's definitely a doppelganger theme. Along those lines, if we want to go more horror, I was like, I could just rewatch Lost Highway again. That's all about doppelganger, and it would give me an excuse to talk about David Lynch on the podcast. But I didn't know if I've seen Lost Highway a lot. I didn't really want to watch it again. But you know, or you could jump into like Pod People Invasion of the Body Snatchers territory with any of the several three, maybe 4 remakes of Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
Oh god, yeah.
Point. I like those ones. I should have done one like that.
You love them.
I do love those kind.
You made me watch was it the 90s one? I think it was the 90s one.
It was.
The one from 93. There are 4 of those that have been made. The movie's been made 4 times. I've never watched the last. I should have watched the last one from 2007, just called Invasion for whatever reason, with what's her name?
I don't know.
She was in Eyes Wide Shut.
Nicole Kidman?
Yes. Nicole Kidman. I believe, I'll double check that, but I'm pretty sure she was in Invasion. But I never heard good things about it, so I never watched it.
Is that the one where her daughter goes missing? Or no, wait. No, because that's the lady that has the ugly crying. But she's a redhead too.
I know
Julianne Moore.
Yeah, that's her.
You know too. Yeah. The ugly crying.
Julianne or Juliet, something like that.
It's Julianne Moore. No, The Invasion. Yeah, 2007 with Nicole Kidman. And Daniel Craig. Interesting. Well, I don't recall hearing good things, but I almost should have watched that. Or The Thing. The Thing was an option.
I thought about that too. Yeah.
It's one of my favorite movies. Or I could just, watch an Asylum movie. So talk about doppelgangers. I watched Invasion of the Pod People from 2007. I wonder why they put out an Invasion of the Pod People movie in 2007 when The Invasion came out. I don't know if I've ever watched an Asylum movie before, to be honest. So part of it, I was like, it's got pod people in the title. I got to watch it. And I didn't realize it was an Asylum movie until I started it. And then I was like, you know what? Nope, let's do it. I'm in it. It's like 25 minutes or something. Like it was. Wait, was it? That's long. No, it was like an hour and 25 minutes. It was very short. So hold on. I got to pull this up. I honestly don't have.
While you're doing that, what is an Asylum movie? Because I'm not familiar.
Okay, thank you. I'm glad you brought it up. So, Asylum produces movie. They pump out ultra cheap. My main complaint though, lazy, bad movies that are just clones or just rip-offs, just close enough not to get sued to whatever big blockbuster movies are hitting video at the time. So like this Invasion of the Pod People came out the same year as Invasion. Let's see. Hold on. Let me pull up a list of so you kind of get an idea. Atlantic Rim they came out with around the same time as Pacific Rim.
Oh.
And
they're not even trying to be coy. They're just like,
oh no, there's no cleverness to it. Transmorphers. Yeah, Transmorphers in 2007. I'm guessing Transformers came out that year. Triassic World in 2018.
Oh my goodness.
Why?
Sunday School Musical.
This is like a company made by the kid who was always like, let me look at your paper. Come on, let me look at your paper.
Snakes on a Train.
Oh my God. Are you kidding me?
Like, how are you going to make a copy of a arguably crap movie? I mean, Samuel L. Jackson is fantastic in anything that he does because he's Samuel L. Jackson. But
well, I mean, it's snakes on a plane, right? Like that's not that's not exactly. It's got Samuel. It's not exactly a good movie, and they don't care. But they also Sharknado, so they make their money off of doing intentionally misleading movies that look like big blockbuster movies that somebody might pick up off the rental shelf, or that's not really relevant anymore, I guess, but still. And
accidentally click on in the list.
And intentionally cheap, cheesy Sharknado, literally Sharknado and other movies like that they can just then sell to sci-fi. Like that's their whole thing. And I get that. I watched a thing about them not long ago, and I get that that's their business model. Like the movies are bad, and apparently they've tried to make good movies and like just didn't make their money back on it. So they're just like, why? Like it's a business thing. Like cheap, pump it out, doesn't matter. It could be crap. But we know we're going to get this much money back on the investment.
Did they do 8-Legged Freaks or something like that? Like right when the spider craze happened, or?
No, I don't think that was them. I feel like that was a bit more. I could be wrong.
Intentional.
No,
I mean they actually had David Arquette and people who had actually been in things. So
no, that was a bigger. That actually, had several names. That was a bigger production. I mean, it was an intentionally like campy, I believe, but it wasn't
badly produced.
Yeah.
Or
I've
poorly
never
produced,
watched
I suppose. Poorly.
So it's
I've never-
interesting that Asylum makes doppelganger movies.
Right? I was thinking about that. I watched doppelganger version of a. I watched a doppelganger version of a movie that came out that was the 4th generation clone of the original story.
Yeah.
I'm 13 doppelganger layers deep. I'm in it. I'm too far in it at this point. I had to watch this.
You're in
Will the
doppel-
top or the doppelganger of the top stop spinning?
Yeah, yeah.
Um.
And will it matter because we don't know which one's real?
So here's the invasion of the pod people. I knew it was gonna be bad once I started it. I knew it was gonna be bad going into it, to be honest. But I was like, well, it'll give me something to talk about. Here's a brief overview. According to the moviedb.org, after a meteor shower in California, Melissa feels that her coworkers and her boss Samantha that work in the agency owned by Vickland are acting differently. Agency owned by Vickland? What does that have anything? What does that mean? Are acting differently after receiving a weird plant. She shares her fears with her colleague Billy and with Detective Alexander that are the only persons that she can trust. That's what happens. They're like, they work in a modeling. They're okay. The story doesn't matter. They give people these weird plants that look like strange. I mean, the plants are gross looking. They're like a root or something, or like a tuber type plant thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then it pricks their finger, and then eventually somewhere you see some gestation of a person or something. You never. It's always close-ups. Like, there's no consistency with. Okay. It doesn't matter. It's supposed to be a model agency, but that's, I think, just because they're like, well, who can we find that'll take their tops off?
Yeah.
There's like, well, they don't exactly look like models. You know what I'm saying? Like, they might model for people in a club at night, maybe, but they don't look like models.
They look like supermodels.
Most of the acting was terrible. There was a couple ladies in here that actually had pretty decent acting. I noticed here, it's on this cover, it says unrated version. I watched this on Tubi TV for free. Thank God. And it said it was rated TV 14. There were boobs all up in that. And that's one thing I was surprised about, because I was like, it'd probably be pretty clean. You know, if it's Asylum, they eventually sell this stuff to Sci-Fi or something. But no, there were boobs all up in it. Which I think was a bigger motivating factor behind, like, I don't know, those scenes look like there was a little bit more effort in it than the rest of the movie. It's like, I see where the priorities are.
Well, it means it's TV 14. How do you draw on a 14-year-old with not boobs? You know?
Yeah, but TV 14. Yeah, but you don't put a show with a bunch of boobs on it. Bunch of boobs in it. You know, nudity is what I'm saying, and sexual themes or whatever.
Yeah.
That wouldn't be TV 14 if they broadcast it on air. That'd be a rated TV. Wait, what is
MA at least?
Yeah. Or yeah, whatever the mature rating is.
I don't know. I mean, you know, even if it's like not like much boob, just some boob. If you make it TV 14, they'll watch it.
Oh, I'm not debating that boobs won't attract 14-year-old males to watch this thing. They absolutely do and will. Yeah. So my big problem, like, I knew it was going to be good. I knew it was going to be cheap. I was surprised at how cheap some of it was. Like, it's the audio. The audio is like kind of a dead give, other than the look of it, of course, and the acting and everything. The sets were terrible. The audio was surprisingly bad, and I wasn't expecting that. There are scenes where it's like, what? I can't hear them because the street sound or the generator sound or the air conditioner sound in whatever scene it happens to be is so loud it's drowning them out. And then over top that, it's almost like they're like, well, we don't know how to fix it. Put some music on it. And over top that is some like atmospheric music. And it's like, what? I can't. Why would you even do this? Why would you add the music? It would have been better if they like, of course, this would have taken effort, and that's not the point. They just need to pump some crap out. But it would have been better if they'd overdubbed it and it just come across as goofy overdub. And it does like the classic bad, like super cheap bad audio thing of like when it's a shot of one character, you hear the AC or whatever it is super loud, and then it cuts to the other character.
Oh
and
no!
The other character starts talking. That completely drops
AC.
out, and it's a different room sound. It's like, oh my god, like just either commit to it, just like whatever. I'm an audio guy, but still, it's that they couldn't take the time to make that better is a perfect example of why I was willing to give Asylum a chance. I was like, I get it, like they just pump these out, that's their business model, but you know, maybe there's some effort, maybe there's some love put into it. And that's such a perfect example of like, no, they don't care. They don't care. The sets are lazy. At one point, so like this whole like pod person thing, other than the fact that it's just happening, how the main character becomes aware of it is randomly some dude we've never seen before breaks into her house at gunpoint, holds her at gunpoint, and starts ranting to her about like they're pod people, basically. Like just a random exposition drop on this lady about what's happening. There's pod people taking people over, they're copying people and killing them, and replacing them, which is weird. How does he know she's not one? But whatever. And then and this is in her living room, and then he takes the gun and shoots himself in the face, in the mouth. And then we cut away from that to what I'm assuming is the next day, because now it's daytime and she's just driving down the street. I'm like, yeah. What about the dude who just blew his brains out all over your living room? You're not going to follow that? Like, that is that whole concept. Like, that's how you're going to introduce like the concept of the movie to the main character is so lazy. But then like it created a potentially interesting or traumatic scenario. Not even a deal with it. Never deal with it. Maybe that's how the detective comes into it. I don't know. But it's just like, as far as I know, she either the body's still laying in their living room rotting, or she disposed of it and just like, well, nobody needs to know about this.
No, I came in and I said, throw a blanket over it.
Right. Exactly. That big situation. So, and again, like it's so lazy. During that scene, I was almost like, you know how people are like with animals, they're like, oh, they want to be people. Or I used to say it about kids, like they're like a little person. I was watching this movie and I was like, oh, it wants to be a movie. Yeah, it's like a little movie. Because it's
almost like a real movie.
Yeah.
It made me well, and then he shot himself in the scene. It went to a new scene and ignored that, and I was like, oh, never mind. The quaintness is gone. But it's that idea of like, they're like, well, on paper, it's there. There's a plot. Here's some characters. Here's some stuff that happens. But like, it's missing everything else that makes a movie interesting. Like the characters are lame. There's not like real character development. The atmosphere. I feel like there's some decent atmosphere at the beginning, but I feel like it's mostly accidental just because like it just feels like empty, the movie. And I was like, that kind of works for it at the beginning. Just because of I know the theme of the movie, but I don't think that was intentional. I think that's just how it is.
Yeah.
And then the climax is like the main character dies off screen. Apparently, you hear her on a phone call because suddenly we're following the main character's friend at the end in the last scene for some reason, not the main character that we've been following through the whole movie. And she calls her and then screams. So it's like, oh, I guess she just died off screen. And then we get the most laziest, like her friend's in a car with who she thought was her friend, the main character. And then a doppelganger of her friend gets in the back and then she screams. End of movie. It's like, really, your climax of the movie took place in a car that looked like it was parked in the back alley somewhere in Hollywood. Like
It probably was.
just real bad. It is real bad.
They were like, hey, come here real quick. Let's shoot the end of this movie. Come on.
Right. Well, right. Yeah. I wanted to give it the benefit of the doubt. It's one of those movies. It's kind of like Camp Blood, except maybe Camp Blood actually had less going for it, but where it's so bad, it's not interesting, where I just end up watching it for like the little glimmers of like, well, that was good. I don't know if it was intentional, but that was maybe something. Like, oh, she's not a complete terrible actress. Cool, I'm into it. you
and then you're like, oh nope, that was an accident. My bad.
oh, well, that was she was apparently having a good day.
Unintentionally good.
Whoops. Right.
Oh, she actually did stub her toe. Oh, that hurts.
So you grab the little things when you can. But most of the movie was terrible. I don't even know what I would give it in stars. I need to log it on Letterboxd still.
Still, it's got 47%. So somebody doesn't hate it that much.
I don't think people hate it that much. It's just so maybe compared to other Asylum movies, it's decent, but it's too lazy. It's too lazy and sloppy. There's definitely worse movies than this. It's not the worst thing I've ever seen. But it's a horror movie. Like I just don't know. Okay, it's their business model. They tried to make a good movie and didn't make that much money off of it. Just take the same budget, but try to do better. Just do better. That's my whole thing. That's with all these movies. Just do better. I get it. Like, you don't have to make a masterpiece. You don't have to infuse a whole ton of money. But like, you can watch kids in backyards on YouTube make better atmospheric horror than this at times. And it's like, they don't have a budget. What's your excuse? So, Invasion of the Pod People, I'd say skip it. I'd say skip this clone of a fourth generation clone.
If you think maybe I should try something new, nah, just watch something good.
Right. That's kind of the moral of this. Well, I mean, there are things, there are movies on the like, I come across a list of movies and I was like, oh, well, like Possession there's an older movie called Possession, which apparently has more. I know we have maybe Possession coming up, so I was kind of holding on to that. But it's got Sam Neill. It's supposed to be kind of like a classic or a cult classic horror thing. It's supposed to be really good. I thought about watching that. Apparently, that's got a bunch of stuff with doppelgangers. But I didn't want to watch something good, apparently. I wanted to watch Invasion of the Pod People.
Oops. I had muted my thing real quick and I went to unmute it and I accidentally turned on my camera, so you guys got to see my desk because my camera is pointed straight down at my desk.
Oh, I didn't even see it.
Yeah. Sorry. Well, good. Haha.
Jesse.
Yes.
What did you watch?
All right. Well, I don't know. I was all over the place. I even thought about doing Fight Club for a second, just because I was like, does that count? He kind of lives inside of his head.
Maybe.
I think it would count.
Yeah. I'd
kind
say
of an
why
evil
not?
twin kind of situation, right?
Right.
But so I was like, it's been a minute since I watched Doctor Who. We kind of started with some Doctor Who at the beginning of this when Maddie D chose some Doctor Who for, I think, what was it? For Frankenstein week? I don't even remember which one.
Yeah.
And so, yeah. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to go back to Doctor Who. And because I knew that there was a good doppelganger one. There's probably several, but I went with The Rebel Flesh and The Almost People. So it's a two-parter. And it was series 6. So this would have been Matt Smith's second season as the 11th Doctor. Amy and Rory had just gotten married. Rory decides to go ahead and become a full-time companion on the TARDIS crew. So this is the first season where we've got, Amy, Rory, and the Doctor traveling together. Mm-hmm. And, they wind up the doctor is investigating the whole mystery of Amy Pond at this point, and the TARDIS takes them to this like monastery type of thing, this medieval monastery, and in this medieval monastery, this crew is working on like pumping acid out of it, and there's also like the whole crux of it is there's the flesh. The flesh is something that they can turn into doppelgangers, and they do this on purpose because they can now harvest and pump out the acid without actually having human casualties. Otherwise, they're going through too many, it's so corporate. They're going through too many acid suits. So instead, let's make living clones of ourselves, which can die.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's the epitome of corporate greed right there. And so they show up in the middle of like a solar storm or something, and it strikes while they're all attached to these chairs, which they use to basically pilot them, kind of like an Avatar type of thing, like not the good Avatar, but more like the James Cameron Avatar with the blue people.
Right. I love that that's not the good Avatar, and I would agree.
No.
I would agree.
So they're plugged into these chairs when the solar storm hits, and now the doppelgangers are alive, like actually properly alive without needing human hosts to like pilot them, kind of thing. And so then that's the crux of the story of the two-parter, basically, is that the doppelgangers are just trying to survive, and then they go back and forth on maybe we need to kill the humans in order to survive, kind of thing. Us or them, this whole thing. And like they land, and the one character, Jennifer, is all about Rory, and then at another point, like at the end of the first half, the doctor scans the flesh at one point, the goop that turns into people, and that's the big reveal at the end is, trust me, I'm the doctor. And so there's a ganger. This is the cute nickname for doppelganger is Ganger. There's a ganger version of the doctor. He's just like the doctor after he, works out a few kinks.
Like the Doctor Ganger.
It's the Doctor Ganger, the 11th ganger.
Real quick, Savannah had said, I didn't like this episode with the weird liquid soap people.
They really are too.
They're
like their faces just go blip, which you can see on the screen here if you're watching the video episode. Otherwise, just do a quick Google search on the Rebel Flesh or the Almost People, and you'll get images, and you'll go, oh, that one. I mean, that's kind of how most people feel about this. It's like, oh, this is kind of a forgettable moment in Doctor Who, unless you liked it, kind of thing.
So is it are they kind of like biological machines, but then they get struck like by lightning and go like Johnny Five?
It's kind of like that, almost like a Frankenstein kind of thing. Like they really aren't alive until this freak accident happens, and now boom, like Johnny Five.
Yeah,
and now they're alive, but they're unstable, so they keep like shifting between like a true doppelganger form or this kind of slick looking, not quite detailed form.
Yeah.
And like there's some interesting stuff in this. Like there's a moment where there's the two 11th doctors playing off of each other, and you could tell that Matt Smith was having a heck of a time with that. Like he clearly enjoyed playing us opposite himself, or at least he made it convincing that he was enjoying it. But there's that whole thing with Amy Pond, not like she's kind of like racist a little bit, like when it comes to the ganger, like you're not the real thing. You're not the real thing. And then like there's this whole bait and switch thing, and like who is the real doctor, that whole thing. And it's interesting. I really enjoyed it until the end. Like then the end happens, and I'm like, oh, that's right. And then I went to throw things at the television. I was like, Moffat, you did it again.
I don't remember it at all, but yeah, I mean that was always
I could spoil it, and then you would remember it.
Okay, I mean, I don't care. I'd say
this is old. It's like what did I say on the notes? 2011.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is Yeah, almost a decade old now.
Yeah. If you haven't seen a decade-old Doctor Who, you're
So remember, this is the season that's all building up to River Song.
Oh.
This is A Good Man Goes to War. This is all that. It's all leading up to that. And so we get the whole eye patch thing. Yeah. So she's pregnant and whatnot. This is the episode where we realize that Amy has not actually been traveling with the Doctor at all. And it's actually a ganger. And the whole point of going to this place, we thought it was like the TARDIS taking the Doctor where he needs to go. No, he went here on purpose because he wanted to be able to study the flesh up close and to confirm his suspicion that Amy was flesh all along. And this whole time, 2 hours, 2 episodes of the Doctor being like, but the flesh is alive. How could you just dispose of the flesh? Da, 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 da. At the end of this whole thing, he figures out a sonic vibration on his screwdriver that will essentially melt the flesh on site. And then he does that. And then he does that to the fake Amy.
But I thought the flesh was alive. How could you do
Exactly. That's why I wanted to throw things at the screen. I was like, you just spent 2 hours like talking about what's real is real, what's life is life, and then you just zapped this fake Amy and melted her, and without even thinking, is just like, I'm sorry, boop, you're gone.
But maybe it's that, life is life until it's already formed into a human, and then it's not doing its job, and then after that, who cares?
Are you saying the Doctor's conservative? Like it's sacred until it's a person, but I don't give a crap.
Yep.
Huge if true.
So you protect that goop until it looks like a person, then it's on its own.
It looks like a person.
I stand for
as long as you got
care.
soap paste, you're fine. Wow.
Turner had said Voldemort. Yes, because they do look like Voldemort. They look like the noseless, the one that shall not be named.
Yes, I agree.
So this was both an excellent opportunity to go back and revisit some old Stephen Moffat, and also a horrible cautionary tale and reminder that not all of this old stuff that we remember fondly is good.
Yeah.
Oh man, especially Moffat. It's like a reminder of like, oh yeah, Stephen Moffat era, Matt Smith. Oh yeah, Stephen Moffat era.
Yeah, no, it's like, oh, Matt Smith's really good in this one. Oh, spoilers. Matt Smith is the only thing good.
Right.
Yeah.
I feel like his Doctor was one of the most unintentionally inconsistent. Like,
yeah.
Moffat is worse at sticking a landing than Stephen King. I mean, it's bad.
Okay, so we kicked this off, the whole Monster of the Week thing with was it the vampire one with vampires?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And watching Dracula, which is a Stephen Moffat, Mark Gatiss joint.
Right.
Same thing. I didn't mind it, but for the most part, the most common thing is third episode, because it was a 3-episode thing, fell on its face. He can't stick a landing. He can't. He can't. Like, it's like he gets such a good start, and then he can't help but just like cheese balling it, or just.
Mm-hmm. And it's worse. The reason I say it's worse than Stephen King, because he's notorious for it too, but he builds it up even more. It's not just like some weird, awesome thing. It's like a fantastical thing that, affects the entire universe and all of time and all of creation. And then we're still going to mess it up. God.
Yeah.
Or he'll give him an ambiguous moral, like, get out of jail free card.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what they did with this one, is like, I could just melt you. But then he's also like, but maybe you'll survive because your memory will live on in my sonic screwdriver or something. I don't know.
Oh.
It's like, but maybe you come back.
You'll be like,
Boop your goop.
You won't. Boop your goop. Delete.
Same thing with like Jenny, the Doctor's daughter. She's gonna die. Spoilers, she doesn't.
Yeah.
You could die. Oh, you're not dead. Oh, you're traveling the universe forever. Or at least until you feel like you don't want to anymore.
Mm-hmm.
What were you gonna say, Melanie?
I was just gonna say, because of the liquid soap thing, I'm like, I'm gonna melt you, but I'll feel your emotions while I'm washing my hands,
Right.
so it's okay.
You still have a purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And that purpose is to travel all of time and space until the end of time, or whenever you decide to stop.
You know,
Yeah.
at least one thing about Chibi, old Chibi, at least he's consistent with his suck. His
Yeah.
Chibi start sucking,
Yeah.
suck through the middle, and then suck at the end.
It's
Mhm.
true. It's really true. And he surprises us when he's good.
Why can't they have somebody good like Gaiman take over? And I mean, I know maybe he doesn't want to because
Moffat messed that up.
Yeah.
I worry that we won't get any more Gaiman because Gaiman Doctor Who stuff. He hasn't written that many episodes, but he has written some in the past.
Mhm.
Because what was this, Nightmare in Silver? Is that what it was?
Yeah. Yep.
Mhm.
Nightmare
I feel
in
like
Silver.
that sounds like it was not a good experience for him because they had to have him rewrite it a bunch.
And
I feel like
they butchered it. I thought.
Yeah, I feel like he probably did not come away with that from that with a good whatever
experience. Yeah, which sucks because he's so good.
I know people can hear my typing. I'm sorry.
That's because you go when you buy you don't just go and buy a keyboard. He's got to buy a keyboard that's extra loud so he can hear when he's typing.
Because I discovered it was a little bit of a mistake after I ordered it. I was like, oh yeah, I think at the time I might have still been streaming games, or maybe I wasn't, but I had been, and I was like, oh, this is not a good idea if I want to play games online or games on video. But it's because I discovered mechanical keyboards. They're so good. When I was doing the latest Cyber News podcast, however long, a year ago, I was doing a lot of writing, so I needed a good keyboard. I was like, what's a good keyboard for actually writing? And mechanical keyboard, and they're awesome. They're great. They're very clicky, and it's very satisfying, except it is very loud.
Yeah. Meanwhile, I'm like, I'm going to dismantle my mouse and shove little pieces of fluff in here so that it won't click when I click on it because the sound drives me insane for some reason. We're the opposites.
So I want to highlight Savannah.
Comment
because
that's a good one.
She did a thing. She watched a thing. She said, I watched The Simpsons Treehouse of Horror with Bart's evil conjoined twin, Hugo, who was chained in the attic and fed fish heads. Yeah, evil twin for sure.
And really, Treehouse of Horror, I like them all, I think.
So I wonder if this picture is correct. Would that have been season 8, episode 1. Yeah, that's classic Simpsons.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have much else to say. I don't recall.
I remember seeing that one. I mean, I don't remember them all, but that's one of them I definitely do remember.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember what the other stories were, but man, the Treehouse of Horror episodes are great.
Yeah.
It's been a long time since I watched any Simpsons. And I know people are always like, it's sucked since season 8 or 12 or whatever. Whatever. I'm sure there's been.
Has it though, or did you just outgrow it?
That's kind of the thing, right? I'm sure there's been varying qualities, and the show has to evolve with the times. It can't be the same exact show. If you go watch some of those early seasons, they're good, they're classic, but it's also like early Simpsons. Like it feels a little dated.
I will always love The Simpsons, always, because my house is full of very different people, and the only time that we could be all sat down as a family, eating together and enjoying our time is when we had a TV in the dining room and we watched The Simpsons. That's like the best our family ever got along in my entire life. And it's all, I think it's all because of The Simpsons, because it was the one show we could all agree on and laugh at and, whatever, and then get on with our lives and, didn't have anything to argue about from it. You know what I mean?
We didn't watch well, I watched The Simpsons, but
Mhm.
yeah, we didn't. That was not a family viewing. My dad hated The Simpsons.
Yeah?
He hated it with a passion.
My dad liked The Simpsons. It was South Park and Beavis and Butthead. Those were the things that he rallied on or rallied against.
Oh yeah. Well, I think South Park was late enough that I don't know. That didn't seem to really hit my dad's radar, but Beavis and Butthead for sure. He hated that too.
Yeah. Burn
That
one
one-
house down and everybody freaks out.
Okay. Savannah says everyone should watch it.
Mhm.
So let's talk about Simpsons. Do we want to move on?
Yes.
Okay. We should blow through some of these pretty quickly.
Okay.
Well, we don't have to.
I don't even know.
Some of these are just like, this is what so and so said. Here's what they're doing.
Real quick. First off, how many weeks till Halloween? 2 more weeks till Halloween. Halloween. 2 more weeks to Halloween. Silver Shamrock. I need to watch Halloween 3 again. That's great. Wait, what's the monster in Halloween 3? Techno pagan witchcraft
Masks.
and
So
masks.
we could do a mask week where it was basically just Jim Carrey.
No.
Yeah.
Somebody stop me.
Oh man, I should have. I missed a couple promotional opportunities.
I know what I want to do if we can do it.
Next week.
Yes.
Okay.
And partially I'm gonna give half of this to Jesse. I think it should be puppets and dolls.
Oh, okay. So we had possession on the list, but we don't have to do possession. We can do puppets and dolls. We probably.
Well,
figure
I
out
can
a
think
way
of
to
at
put it
least
together.
one movie where the doll is possessed.
Right.
Mhm.
Um.
I was just thinking because you remember that I think I sent Randy a meme. It was a great meme. Where these people put like a giant line of old tore up dolls walking away from their house carrying trash bags in the shape of a body. And I was like, those are the kind of decorations that would creep me out. I wouldn't want to go home with those there. And it had me thinking we should do something like that. So if you guys are down for it, if not, that's fine.
I'm game. I
Yeah.
mean, you weren't
I'm
going to get
totally
a
down.
dissenting vote from me.
I think that's a great idea. Okay, so puppets, dolls. I'm gonna put that in here so I remember. Okay. Oh, I wanted to say real quick because we were talking about doppelganger movies. And I mentioned The Thing. Hey, if you do want to hear me talk about The Thing, you should go to grawlixpodcast.com. Check out one of the older Grawlix Cinematic Universe episodes, GCU number 6, in which Jasper and I had talked about The Thing and Big Trouble in Little China.
Both fantastic.
For me, one held up better than the other.
I don't know what you're talking about because Big Trouble in Little China is one of the best movies ever.
Puppets. Savannah sounds excited about puppets. So also no horror in her house growing up. That's sad. That is one thing. Oh, she says, my mom thinks the original Jurassic Park movie is horror. I guess I could kind of see that, but man, that is that's pretty timid.
It's a good thing she had me to positively influence her. Or
okay. Well, my dad didn't like Simpsons or Beavis and Butthead, but I seen The Exorcist a whole bunch.
Yeah.
And The Thing and The Shining, all the classics. All right, so that aside, let's see. What news story do we want to start with? We can just jump into these.
Yeah, I mean, some of them are just like, oh, that's happening.
Okay. Well, I will. Oh, I hate autoplay videos websites. You guys stop it. I'm gonna go ahead and jump into this, Jesse, and if it's clear I don't know what I'm talking about, or if you have input on it, please do, because you gathered these stories. So I'm gonna
Sure.
She-Ra creator sets next animated series Lumberjanes for HBO Max. This is
Yeah, I
coming
heard
from
about that.
Entertainment Weekly.
I'm down.
Yes.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, please, you go.
I was gonna say I'm all down for some Lumberjanes. That sounds awesome.
Now, did she create Lumberjanes as well?
So
is this like the snake eating its own tail? Because I believe that she got her notoriety as a series creator for Lumberjanes, then was attached to She-Ra, and then did She-Ra for 5 seasons, and now she's getting to make her original property into a show. Ironically, not for Netflix, but for HBO Max.
Ooh, she's moving up in the.
Yeah.
I mean, as in who has more properties and whatnot. Sure, yeah. I think if I wasn't here, maybe if I grew up somewhere less city, that might be something. I would have been a Lumberjane because yeah, I love working in nature, and I mean, cutting down trees is not great, but then I would plant some afterward, so I'd be one of those people.
Yeah, okay, so according to this Entertainment Weekly article, Lumberjanes tells the story of 5 Lumberjane scouts so is that like a Boy Scouts type thing? Lumberjane scouts? Who witnessed a series of supernatural events, including an old woman transforming into a bear.
You got
beer flavored.
What kind of beer? Let's talk.
Okay.
This isn't really related, but kind of. It just reminds me. I read a thing. It was like a Reddit thing, and it was talking about the worst thing that a guy had tried to mansplain to a woman, and one of them was this guy tried to argued for like an hour with his girlfriend, trying to tell her that she only has her periods on full moons because that's how it works. And she's like, "We're not werewolves, okay? It's not the same thing. Our cycles are not related to the moon at all." And I'm like, that's crazy to me that in this day and age people don't know something that simple. But then I was thinking about it, and I'm like, man, it would be so much cooler if it was tied to the moon. I so wish it could be like, oh, full moon's coming, better watch out, guys. I'm gonna have PMS. That would be so much better.
It'd be like the Red Lodge. I mean, like the story that we took that from, because that was a Swamp Thing story. I don't recall if that was the actual title of it, but didn't that have to do with the Red Lodge? And it was obviously like a menstruation thing, but it was not vampire, werewolves.
Yeah. And actually, I looked it up after reading that. I don't think the Red Lodge was actually a thing, but the Moon Lodge was a thing in several different cultures, actually. So, I don't know.
Okay. Well, this is interesting. Cool. I didn't watch the newer She-Ra show. I don't know Lumberjanes, but okay. I'm down.
Yeah, me too.
It sounds progressive and affirmative.
It sounds empowering.
Empowering, that's the word.
Well, it's got a comics twist to it, so I thought, well, this is Grawlixy news.
Yep.
Speaking of female empowerment,
this one I did see this article. Glow. This is from independent.co.uk. Across the pond, Glow cast asks fans to support petition for Netflix film after series cancellation.
Does that work?
Well, I don't know. I don't know, but there's like no petition linked here. So, it's just like a social media thing. So, I mean, we talked about it last week, I believe. Glow got canceled, even though they were actively filming the next season before Corona hit. Well, they decided with Corona dragging on, they decided we're just going to scrap that season. Show's done, which is very disappointing. Glow is amazing. I'm sorry, Melanie, that you can't watch it. I wish you could, because it's a really pretty good show. It's like very well written. It's okay. If you don't know Glow, it seems goofy. It's like here's a picture. This is maybe not a good example of it, but this is they're female wrestlers, right? But it's an ensemble character piece, and it's so good. It's very well written. But it was canceled after being renewed and filming. And apparently the cast of Glow has asked films to support a petition to save the show after it was canceled by Netflix. Blah, blah, blah. On October 5th, Netflix, okay, blah, blah, blah. During a virtual reunion, the cast, including Betty Gilpin, Allison Brie, and Mark Maron. I also like Mark Maron a lot. I still never have listened to his podcast. I know that's like, he's a comedian, but I know that's kind of where he got at least online famous.
I love that he came on to Conan O'Brien's show and basically read him the riot act because Conan O'Brien started a podcast.
Yeah.
It was pretty good. You should look that up. It was pretty fun.
But I like him. I like him a lot. He's good in stuff. I mean, he plays the same guy. He basically plays Mark
Plays
Maron,
himself, or
who he is.
Yeah.
But he's good.
Is he related to Cheech?
I don't think so. I'm pretty sure not.
Okay. Just wondering.
Let's see. So basically, they anonymously agreed to the idea of reuniting once more for a movie version of the show, and ask viewers to also make their voices heard by joining the #SaveGlow petition, or by, quote, going old school, end quote, and posting letters to Netflix. Maron said it would be a very exciting thing, and it would seem like Netflix could do it if they wanted to do it. It probably would solve the problem. It would be easier for them to do. I'm not sure. Who the F knows? That is Mark Maron. Who the F knows what they're going to do? But I think it's a great idea, and I hope people rally around it enough to raise the interest of the executives over there. I mean, it kind of came down to, well, we figured it out on our own last week, where like apparently by the time the show would come back, contract negotiations would have to happen again. So we figured that's probably what happened. But they said that with the break for Corona, the show wouldn't hit the air until like 2021, 2022. And they're like, the audience won't still be around. The audience isn't going anywhere.
No,
they're not going to leave. They're still there. Right. In fact, it would be a good business decision that if you did say maybe lose a bunch of audience, since 2 to 3 other massive streaming services have cropped up since the end of the last season, maybe that would attract some people back. But no, I mean, I'm not and
it's a Netflix exclusive. Where's it at? Where else is it going to go? It's not going anywhere else. And it lives evergreen on your platform.
Real quick, I want to mention, Savannah says, yeah, thank you, Cheech Marin or Mark Maron. I don't know. But
they're spelled differently.
Yeah. And I wouldn't know. I didn't watch Glow. I wish I could have, just like I wish I could watch The Office, but those shows are not good for me.
Glow, its humor does come from.
There's some cringe, but not quite.
It's different. It's a comedy drama, whereas like Office is a bit more comedy. Office is more like over the top cringe, and Glow is over the top, but a little bit more realistic, more grounded, uncomfortable, awkward cringe.
Well, that might be even worse.
Yeah, exactly.
My whole thing is just, I can't watch a movie without having to feel what everybody's feeling. And sometimes I'm just like, nope, I wouldn't, I'm out. This person might stay around, but I'm running for the hills. And so I can't, I have to leave the room. Can't watch it.
So this next story, Jesse, this is interesting. This is something I hadn't heard, and this continues the saga. Saga.
That's why I picked it.
It's good. Like, this is, I don't know why this fascinates me so much. I guess it's because this is like the biggest like Corona is the biggest, like, I can't think of anything that's rocked the movie industry,
Mm-hmm.
or all industries, arguably, but obviously
Yeah.
the show business being like very public, very visible. I can't think of anything that's rocked the industry like this. So it seems very notable considering we talk about entertainment news. Savannah says, I don't feel like there's as much cringe as The Office. Yeah, I mean, The Office falls back on it specifically as comedy, and it's a comedy, so there's a lot of it. And like the Michael Scott character, at least in the American Office, is very, very ridiculous and over the top.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, no, it's not necessarily as much cringe in Glow, but it's more realistic, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
So it maybe feels worse.
Savannah, this is just right to recall me like almost crying because there was a guy eating alone at a restaurant, and I'm like, I would be so sad if I was eating alone at a restaurant, and getting all upset about it. That's what it's like for me.
To be fair, I like to do a lot of things alone, but I will enjoy eating alone at a restaurant.
I know,
and I would be upset if I see some chick looking at me crying because I'm doing it, and I'm like, no.
Yeah, I know.
This is my choice.
But that's fine for you.
Someday there's gonna be a virus. I'll be safe because I'm by myself in this little restaurant area. Except I'm in a restaurant, so I probably wouldn't be safe.
I have only seen a movie alone once in my life, and that's only because I refused to watch Scream 2. I went and saw Riddick instead, the first Riddick movie. I forget what it was called.
Pitch Black.
Yeah.
Other than that,
Pitch Dark.
I've never seen a movie alone. And you do it on the regular because you enjoy it. That's weird to me.
I like going to movies by myself. The best is if there's no one else. If it's like if you happen to hit it like the right time of day, there's like no one else in there. Dude.
I think that's how I watched Mad Max Fury Road. There's basically no one else in the theater.
Now,
it's crazy.
To be clear, though, Melanie,
yeah,
I would rather go eat with you, and I'd rather go to the movies with you.
Well,
You're my girlfriend, and I do like going out to do things with friends. I'm not saying that I don't like doing those things, but I also don't have like if I'm, I got no problem with going to the movies by myself. It's great. I would go to the movies now, despite everything going on, if I knew there was no one else in there. But that's kind of beside the point. I don't think theaters are gonna like stay open.
Just for yeah, let's do that.
I don't know.
There's other people that enjoy going to the movies by themselves too. I know it. I've heard people talk about this.
Yeah.
However, Warner Brothers and Universal bosses say no movie theater buyouts in the works, but we're rooting for them. This is from Deadline.com.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is a story I was not. So this is okay. This is interesting. It's one of those. It kind of feels like that. How that last story maybe evolved, the Glow story, where it's like this isn't something that originated from them. This is something they asked, and it's like, whoa, here's a story about their reaction to the thing that we asked them.
Right.
Which I guess seems valid. But apparently, Donna Langley, chairman of Universal Filmed Entertainment Group. That's the name of it. That's weird. And Ann Sarnoff, chair and CEO of Warner Brothers, had the same reaction Thursday when asked if their companies had any interest in buying movie theaters. They laughed. Quote, "We have no plans to do that currently," Langley said. And Snarnoff said, "We have no plans either," with a light chuckle. Let's see.
Why they be laughing at people? That's so rude.
Okay, so I'm just going to read this Deadline.com part of this article, who credit was written by Dade Hayes. Especially with the 1948 Paramount decree now abolished and major theater circuits on the brink of bankruptcy, the scenario of studios taking the stake in exhibition, whose stocks have plunged, is frequently floated. 1948 Paramount decree. So was the whole... That's interesting. I don't know about that. I'm gonna have to look into that. So is that basically...
I assume it would be like it's a conflict of interest, so you can't be making the movies and the person showing them.
The only person, like,
yeah, you're right.
in 1948, yeah, 50s, and throughout the 50s is kind of like the downslope for the massive studio. Like, that's where movies happened. And studios kind of had a monopoly over the whole thing. Disney had a monopoly over the whole thing, and apparently also ran some theaters. So they truly had a monopoly on the whole experience. I don't know. That's interesting. Okay, well, anyway, that's for Randy time. I'll look that up because I'm curious about that. I feel like there's maybe not. This is a pretty lengthy article, actually. I don't know that there's really much more notable, though.
It's interesting that they would laugh it off because, like, it seems like a very corporate thing to do right now would be to be like, oh, y'all are having some troubles? Swoop in. We own you.
Yeah, but
now we're making money on both ends.
Yeah, that's true. Even companies that companies don't want, they still, when they're doing bad, tend to swoop in and then just sell all the parts and pieces to profit, you know? So it's strange to me in that respect also that they wouldn't do it. Or laugh about it even more.
I mean, on the one hand, they're like, well, the theaters aren't doing too well right now. That's not a good investment. But I mean, in the long term, you think it would be? Yeah, I don't know. That
they need to invest in some drive-ins.
Where are all the drive-ins? God.
Oh, real quick, do you mind if I pimp?
Pimp?
Yeah, if you're live in the Omaha, Nebraska area, there will be a free showing of Hocus Pocus at Falconwood Drive-In Thursday, October 22nd. Tobacco free.
Where is Falconwood?
I think it's in Bellevue. Yeah, it's in Bellevue.
Turner says Fremont is struggling. Fremont's is struggling for sure.
Oh,
yeah, I mean, theaters. I would think Fremont would be able to comfortably, during normal times, comfortably sustain a theater, at least one. For a while, it was two.
Right.
It's a one theater kind of town. Call back to our earlier conversation about Fremont. That's the size. But I tell you what, many times I had went to those theaters, either of those theaters, it didn't seem like they were doing well at that point either. But maybe that's just because I intentionally choose times when other people aren't there. Or order like a big old popcorn without anything to drink and have a friend that walks like maybe he's carrying a 2-liter or something in his coat.
Right.
Dude, oh man.
Are you sure you don't want to drink? No, I'm good. Just take this popcorn. Stupid. So stupid.
Man, I miss skater pants.
Skater pants?
Yeah.
Oh, right. Yeah, you smoke all kinds of stuff in the theaters.
Like a jar of pickles and a tube of Pringles. Done that before.
Jar of pickles. That's probably not even good for you. You're like, right in the middle of the movie, you're like, oh, I gotta go to the bathroom. Oh, yeah. Too much soda? No. Too much fiber. When sodium, man. Holy moly.
This is a story that I did want to cover, and we won't dive too far into it because it is getting late. It's after 10. So
yeah, I'm sorry.
I'm the reason we started late. Don't be sorry. Disney streamlines as COVID-19 woes continue, creating single media and entertainment distribution unit led by Kareem Daniel. Now, we don't have to dive into this. In fact, I should have looked more into this beforehand and had a better idea of what it was. But this was a few days ago. This news broke, and it ties into this because basically, from what I understand, Disney's doing some like real corporate restructuring to deal with theaters not being a extremely viable source of their major income.
Yeah,
that's huge if true.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing it'll be, so the focus will be on developing, under the new structure, according to deadline.com, the focus will be on developing and producing original content for the company's streaming services, as well as for legacy platforms. What does that mean? Like
Legacy.
DVDs, VHS, Laserdisc,
Oh,
video
God.
disc, beta. We're doing it all.
They put out a video disc, man.
That's all.
Do a Disney afternoon block on video disc. I'm in.
We're opening the Disney vault. We're not going to even change the format. We're just going to pull whatever's out and give it to you.
Chippendale Rescue Rangers on video disc. Get it. Betamax.
Betamax.
You could be a beta tester for our Betamax retro release.
So distribution and commercialization will be centralized into a single global unit called Media and Entertainment Distribution. It would be led by Kareem Daniel, a 14-year company veteran and former president of consumer products, games, and publishing.
And you still won't get a Black Widow movie.
Oh, interesting. Okay. I was very suspicious of this, but I mean, it makes sense when you consider Disney owns everything. Excuse me. Rude. COVID-19 has ravaged Disney more than any other media company, with a direct impact on theme parks, travel, theatrical moviegoing, TV advertising, live sports, and other long-time income sources.
Wait, TV advertising? What effect did it have on TV advertising?
Don't talk bad about them because you're going to go robot. No, you weren't talking bad. You were asking about what their deal with TV advertising. I don't know. I mean, they own so many companies. They probably own some ad agencies.
Yeah, but okay, that's fine.
I really don't know, Melanie.
Yeah.
And Jesse looks okay. You look frozen. I was like, did I freeze? It was like, no, he's just very still.
I was pulling a Drax, which we'll never see another one of those movies either.
Streaming has been a bright spot, but it is thus far a money-losing endeavor for Disney by design.
I wonder if it's like Netflix started it. Everybody was like, "Oh no, everybody's going to do that now, so now we got to do it." But Netflix was dumb, and they're going to go broke, and now so is everybody else.
Well, no, I think the thing is, so in the spring of 2019, I'm continuing to read this, but in the spring of 2019, the company advised investors that it would be years before Disney Plus and other streaming platforms turn a profit. Disney Plus, which launched last November, has already reached the threshold of the company's 5-year subscriber forecast. Wow, really? Okay. So basically, they've already hit what they anticipated they'd hit in terms of subscribers in 5 years. I think the thing with what they're saying, I think the logic there is, and it's like the Netflix model, so long as Netflix is doing well, you invest a ton off the top, get a bunch of, you got to create a whole bunch of content to attract people, and then you will eventually attract enough people that you go out of the red or whatever, that you make a profit. But it takes a long time to do so. It's like starting a new business where they're like, it's a year, 2 years, 3 years before you actually turn a profit. But the problem with like Netflix is like they just continue to do that, and then once they like start losing customers, it's like, oh no,
Yeah.
Okay, well, interesting. So I'm guessing they're gonna focus more on that. So I guess we're maybe the thought between asking Warner Brothers and Universal if they're going to like buy theaters is like, well, Disney, it's clear Disney's doing their thing over there. They're like, nah, screw theaters. We're streaming is where we're going. So they're like, you guys gonna swoop in?
Right.
You like
Say no more. Know what I mean? Nudge, nudge, wink, wink. Say no more.
All right. Well, I'm glad you found that story, Jesse.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Okay. 2 more things. this one I think will be quick. But before we can even get to it, Snyder Watch. You knew it was coming. And if it weren't for Jesse, it wouldn't have been. I didn't have any. I was like, "There's no
You're
Snyder news,
welcome,
man."
America.
This is what you wanted, Jesse.
Yep.
Will not let
You could have
down.
been watching a back-to-back town hall, but instead you came for the Snyder Watch. You're
I
welcome.
know that's why you all keep coming back. Yep. Justice League Snyder Cut will include original Deathstroke post-credit scene.
You heard it here. I mean, that headline pretty much is the news.
Joe Magnello. We just did this guy's name like a week ago, and I think Billy was kind enough to correct me in the comments. What I said last week, Joe Mandalorian has confirmed that Scott Snyder's Justice League will include his end credit scene as Deathstroke that was included in the theatrical cut.
That was included?
Yes.
That's news. Something you already saw, you will see again. That's news.
Confirmed. That part not changing. Leaving it the same. News. That's news.
Woo.
By the way, they made a Tekken movie.
Breaking.
Woo.
Oh my God. Oh,
This is what we do to get you that Snyder Cut, Snyder Watch news that you deserve.
You deserve this. When you're asking why, you deserved it. Your fault.
It's not the Snyder's cut you need, it's the Snyder's cut you deserve. Is that
Now that should that's the quote for the Snyder Cut. It's not the Snyder Cut you need, it's the Snyder Cut you deserve.
Oh,
oh,
Do you bleed? You will. Yeah, it's such a ridiculous, and this is not like, this is a story that ran. This is screenrant.com 3 days ago.
yes, we're not
I had
the
to
only
do a
one.
double take to be like, is this new? This is new. All right, we're running with it.
See, other people are doing a Snyder Watch. They're just not having a segment.
Right.
I like.
Yeah, clearly.
I like that. It's not even. It gets this is a headline. It gets a headline.
Yeah.
I don't get that. Like, it's like, okay, well, maybe like it's notable, like not really, but it's okay, cool, I guess, sure, but weird.
Mm-hmm.
I've never laughed so hard at a Snyder Watch.
Yeah. Randy, you know who else is weird?
Who?
Nicolas Cage.
Oh man, you're on the ball. Jiu-jitsu. I don't know much about this, but Jesse had shared a trailer with us for a movie called Jiu-Jitsu, starring Nicolas Cage, Tony Jaa, and Frank Grillo. And it looks insane.
Yeah.
It also is very definite. Like, the trailer, this is what I was saying at the very beginning of the episode. The trailer is 100% banking on, hey, Nicolas Cage, acting crazy.
Yes, yeah.
He even says something about it's crazy, or you gotta be crazy, or something crazy.
He says, he's crazy like me. That's what he says.
Yeah.
I like him. He's crazy like me.
So
something like that.
It's Chris. It's Nicolas Cage, Christopher Walken. It's combine the two. I want
Oh
to
my
hear
god.
Oh God, no, I couldn't do it.
it.
That's for
I want to take his face off. I can't do it.
You went Michael Caine with it. That was more like Michael Caine. I want to take his face off.
Bruce,
Well,
Mr.
put-
Wayne.
Bruce. Some people just want to see the faces burn.
Man, I don't know what to say about this other than like this is the kind of trailer. It's like, here, just watch this, but we can't do that on stream, obviously.
Right.
It looks like it's definitely martial arts, because at first I was like, wait, what is this? It's like a martial arts predator, but the predator is like a cyber ninja.
It's like what if Mortal Kombat, except take Raiden out, put Nicolas Cage in.
As Raiden, yeah. The long-haired Nicolas Cage.
Take Shang Tsung out and put the Predator in. And then get real screwy with it and name the tournament after an actual style of martial arts called jiu-jitsu.
Why would you name the movie Jiu-Jitsu? And it's like this.
I don't know. That's almost as baffling as everything else.
Yeah, maybe
more baffling than everything else. Like everything else just like, this is an over-the-top movie. But then they were like, you're a jiu-jitsu and you're a jiu-jitsu and your jiu-jitsu will save the world.
Yep, you're all jiu-jitsus, and then there's gonna be like at least 3 different scenes with machine gun fire.
Yeah,
because
a lot of kicks, a lot of kicking, aerial kicking.
Yeah.
Flips.
I need to at least pull up a picture of. Okay, here, let's pull up a couple pictures. First, that's not what I want. I just want the picture. Okay. I bet audio listeners love this part. First, here's their. It looks really weird here, actually. Here's their weird Guyver cyber ninja predator type alien thing. You pull this up.
I appreciate the MacGyver part of that. I don't know where MacGyver came from, but
no, it's not MacGyver. It's Guyver, which is like
the 80s movie or whatever.
Yeah, it makes me think of like the cheesy Guyver movies, which were not great, but kind of feel in line with this. In fact, if you did like, this is Guyver, the new big budget version, I'd be like, okay, I believe you.
Yeah.
And then. I don't want the whole story. What's Bro Bible? What is this? BroBible.com?
Bro.
I just wanted the picture.
For hard-hitting news, bro.
Bro Bible. Nicolas Cage does jiu-jitsu sword fights with aliens in the greatest movie trailer of 2020. I mean, I would not necessarily disagree with that.
Yeah.
But, I lost the picture. There we go. So, there, it's so much bigger there. Yeah, look at that. Look at that. We've got looks like I'm confused by what's going on because we've got like homeless veterinarian. Homeless.
I don't have a home, but please let me spay and neuter your dogs.
Homeless veteran looking Nicolas Cage, like specifically like post-Vietnam or something. Nicolas Cage. I think it's the headband that's making me think that. But then we also have like Yogi Nicolas Cage. Like he's gonna sword fight you.
Beads. Yep.
He's got a 1,000-mile stare, but also will teach you downward dog or downward twins, whichever.
right, full circle.
So yeah, I mean, I don't know how to analyze it. It was a roller coaster because it's just like, whoa, Nicolas Cage, what's this? And it's like, it's just like a fantasy action thing. That's like, oh no, this is straight up martial arts. It's like, oh wait, no, this is sci-fi. Wait, what is going on with this?
What was it? It's like once every whatever 100 years, a portal opens to the earth, and then something comes through, and we need you jujitsus to get out there and fight it. And if you survive, then you will all survive.
Yeah,
Why are they called jujitsus? That doesn't make sense.
I don't know.
Nope.
No, but it was even worse than that too, because it was like, and if you die with honor, then everyone else is safe. But I
Yeah.
guess if you die without honor, then they murder everyone in the world. I don't really get it.
Yeah, no, it did sound like if they don't find one, a jujitsu, they kill everyone. It's like, well, I mean, eventually then they would find one, right? Like, do they just need to find one?
Yeah.
It's like, okay, you're here. Cool. Just making sure.
Yeah.
I'm going to leave now. Amazing.
And then they just kind of casually drop that Tony Jaa is in the movie, and it's like he's your actual martial arts name for this thing. I mean, like, I suppose there's others in there too, but like
Right.
Tony Jaa actually got he had a good run with movies. He kind of brought that one shot fight scene format into the forefront. Like now everybody's doing it, but for a while there, they were like, holy cow, this is so incredible because it's one continuous scene. And
Well, yeah, he's like a respected martial artist actor, right? Like he knows his stuff, and he generally in terms of martial arts in like good movies,
right?
Like in doing impressive things. But they're like, nah, we got Nicolas Cage being crazy.
Yeah.
That's the face of this movie.
Yeah.
I guess from marketing, yeah, I guess it makes sense. Because Tony Jaa, it's like you get martial arts fans. Crazy Nicolas Cage, you're getting everyone.
Yeah. You were like, oh my God, this looks crazy. I need to see it.
I will say, because I don't think my feelings about Nicolas Cage aren't necessarily different than they used to be, but I think his career has taken a path in which I have not seen a Nicolas Cage trailer in a while that I haven't been kind of on board with.
right, exactly.
And I'm still not a huge fan, but like he's doing movies where I'm like there, because when he was for a while, and I feel like it started with Gone in 60 Seconds, but for a while he was like mainstream action movie man and Con Air. And it's like, that's not what, no, I don't like that. That's not Nicolas Cage. This is ridiculous. How did he turn into action man? But this, where it's just like weird action or crazy horror or just whatever, like that I'm on board with. Okay, that's Nicolas Cage I can jive with.
Yeah. He has to be insane. If he's not insane in the movie, then it doesn't work.
Right.
You need to pick movies that like embrace the Nicolas Cage.
I love that he's embraced it too, because like even in interviews with I think it was for Sony. I think it was for Into the Spider-Verse, where they were like talking about his noir Spider-Man character, and they were like, "Oh, so you want me to go full Nicolas Cage?" That's how he described it, how he was taking direction from them, and he was like, "We want you to bring it up a notch." He's like, "Oh, so you want full Nicolas Cage?" It's like he's referring to himself in the third person now. Yep.
I don't know how I feel about that. It makes sense, because you'd have to be a recluse and never get online to not know what going full Nicolas Cage is like, to not know how people view your stuff and your performances.
Yeah.
But the fact that like it's cool that he embraces it and he recognizes it as a thing, and he knows, because that's the best way to explain it. It's like, oh, you full Nicolas Cage. Yeah. Okay. I wonder how he feels about that.
He seems to be taking it in stride in that interview. I don't know.
He did the performances, like he did it himself. So,
yeah.
And excuse me. The reason Nicolas Cage is even still working, probably, is because he buys a bunch of weird, random crap all the time.
That's true.
By the things that he's bought that I know about, I think that he's totally down with everything in his life, because it seems to fit his style.
He does
like weird, over the top for no reason. I need to buy a dinosaur skull for $50,000.
I'm sure there's movies that he passes on, but he does seem to pretty much just do anything. He'll be like, what was that movie? I'm sure this is a while back, and I know this is probably at the height of his money troubles, because he like, that man's probably spent more money than some millionaires make in their lifetimes on dinosaur skulls and castles and crazy elaborate comic book collections and just weird stuff. But he was in that, like, what was it, Left Behind movie or whatever. It's like no
yeah.
budget, like kind of Christian movie. And it's like
Yeah, and it was like the remake of that too. It wasn't even like
Right.
the first go at it. Kirk Cameron was in the first go.
and Kirk Cameron makes sense because he wants to save Christmas. But
Yeah.
Nicolas
Right.
Cage, he just needs to save himself from bankruptcy, I guess.
Yeah, that was such a weird thing. I was like, really? Nick Cage in this? I guess because it's kind of post-apocalyptic in a way, like religious apocalyptic.
I think he was still fresh off of like National Treasure, and he was like, that's not much worse.
Well, yeah, I mean, after you've lost all that Disney money.
Well, yeah, and even when he was getting big, like, I mean, he's still, well, maybe he chooses smaller movies now, but when he was getting like leading roles in big kind of blockbusters, he pumped them out. The dude just works.
Yeah.
Because, like National Treasure and however many sequels, and that Knowing movie and a whole bunch of movies like that at that time period where it's like kind of slightly supernatural thrillers, action thrillers, stuff like that. He's just kind of, he works a lot.
His career is starting to take a similar arc to like character actors like Christopher Walken, oddly enough, you know.
Right.
Like we were making light of it, we were making fun, but at the same time, like Christopher Walken just takes movies. He's not, you know, he doesn't worry about it. Oh, you want me to be a crazy mouse hunter in Mouse Hunt? Sure.
Oh, I have seen that too. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
It also makes me think of someone else we talked about earlier in the episode, Samuel L. Jackson too, who will take damn near anything.
You're right. Yeah, no,
he just wants to work.
They work. They're just working. They are like character actors that have lead popularity, main like huge movie star notoriety, but they take work like just a character actor, you know. Interesting. Yeah. So do you think that will lead to, maybe it's already happened, Nicolas Cage basically, maybe it is happening, just being Nicolas Cage, but the whole, like you mentioned Christopher Walken, or think of Robert De Niro, or even, you know, where basically they get comedies where it's just like, it's a comedy starring Robert De Niro. That's the comedy. Be Robert De Niro. Do you think Nicolas Cage eventually
like Robert De Niro being like this, and that's funny because he's Robert De Niro, and Robert De Niro wouldn't do that.
Like Meet the Parents, and and Analyze This.
It's like, hey, Nicolas Cage, it's just like a baseline mainstream ratchet comedy, but it's with Nicolas Cage. I don't know. I feel like that's not really his style, if he has a style.
And Cage is like, I don't know that, like his style is so all over the place. It's not like De Niro who did, like, you know, like De Niro did a lot of that kind of almost gangster type of persona.
I guess Nicholas, maybe he's like, that's my secret. They're all comedies. That's his, like, he elevates everything he's into a comedy.
Yes.
You know, Mandy, the weird psychedelic movie where like this religious cult kidnaps and murders his wife, and it's kind of awful, except it's got Nicolas Cage, so it's amazing and it's funny at times.
Yeah.
Or even, what was it, Mom and Dad? There's a movie called Mom and Dad that's pretty good, that somebody on Instagram forever ago said, you got to do Mom and Dad and Cooties. It'd be the perfect double feature for GCU, and I will someday. But it's kind of a horror movie, but it's basically like all the adults go crazy and try to kill
their children.
And he plays the dad. And so, I don't know. There's comedy there, but it's also not strictly comedy. And that kind of seems his thing. It's like, it's a horror movie, or it's a thriller, or it's a sci-fi martial arts movie, but it's Nicolas Cage, so it's also funny.
Yeah.
Right. I don't know who else you put in that role, man. Like who else do you make the linchpin for jujitsu?
Yeah.
I mean, now that it's Nicolas Cage, no one else could possibly do it.
Right.
Like, I feel like that's good casting. I don't know this movie, but that feels like it would be. You expect to see, I don't know who, but like just a very normal, very like subdued older guy, like solemn type in whatever this role is. He seems like the older, he knows what's going on. He's going to get involved. He's like the Raiden. Like he's older. He knows what's going on. He will get involved, but like he's not the main character. He's more of the exposition man.
Right.
Would otherwise be fairly forgettable. But the fact that then you cast Nicolas Cage in that role, the movie becomes the Nicolas Cage martial arts movie.
Well, I was going to say like 10 years ago and with a different title, I could see this being a Jackie Chan movie. But with this title, it's got to be Nick Cage.
At first, I was a little concerned. I was like, "Wait, what is this like?" Because you see Nicolas Cage, and then you see like some martial arts stuff happening, and there's some swords, and there's a very, it's not extremely anime, but a slightly anime-ish looking cyborg alien creature. And I was like, "What is this?" And is it completely whitewashed? This
as long as he's not covered in teeth when he takes that helmet off.
The look of it and the concept does not sound Western. It does not sound like an American property. So I was like, uh-oh. But, I mean, it seems like just a mix of people and a mix of ideas. So it's fine.
Yeah.
Wait, what'd you say about it? I missed it. What'd you say about if he takes his helmet off?
As long as he's not covered in teeth.
Oh,
yeah. It does look kind of like the outfit from...
Yeah, the Jodie Whittaker first episode. What's his name? I don't even know what his name was.
The big reoccurring villain from her first season. Teeth-faced man.
Yep.
Yeah.
Who was useless.
Yeah.
No, we don't need to talk about it. Let's move on.
All right, we should end this.
Okay.
Unless, did we have anything else? I think that's it.
I think that's it.
Uh-oh, you get to see behind the scenes. I should stop sharing the screen. I still have... Okay, so next week, Monster of the Week, puppets or dolls. I still have the Monster of the Week for Halloween week as Nicolas Cage. I feel like
he's our placeholder.
I feel like we might not even need news that week, given we just talked how long about this jujitsu trailer that we really know nothing about.
Yeah.
Right.
I think so. Melanie was always trying to get me on board with Nicolas Cage. And
I don't know how about trying. I like filled his computer with Nicolas Cage, so like everything that popped up was Nicolas Cage.
She really she installed. I'm sure we've mentioned it on the show before, but it's worth mentioning again. She installed a Chrome plugin that replaced every picture online with a picture of Nicolas Cage. Every picture. I went to Facebook and it was just Nicolas Cage everywhere. And at first I was like, I've been hacked. What is this? And she's like, laughing about it.
Yeah.
It was.
That's incredible.
It was good. It was very memorable. So she's tried to get me to like Nicolas Cage in the past. But I think kind of talking about Nicolas Cage on the show has made me appreciate him more, because it's like, okay, yes, there's always things to say about him. That's
for sure. Yeah.
So next week, Puppets and Dolls, and maybe Nicolas Cage after that. We'll see what happens. Anybody? Hey, Melanie.
Yeah.
Anything we should be amazed by?
Hey,
Savannah. Thanks for tuning in. Sorry we went late. Take it easy, Melanie. Oh, Melanie, you have to get up early too.
Yeah, it's okay.
You got to get up before she does. Oh my god.
I take a nap. Okay.
Like he said, I'll take a nap.
It's you only need to be maybe a little bit amazed, because it's what you should be amazed about though is that a team of physicists in New York discovered a material that conducts electricity with perfect efficiency at room temperature, So it's a superconductor that works at room temperature. Well, not it says room temperature, but it's 59 degrees Fahrenheit, which I'm not comfortable in a room that's 59 degrees Fahrenheit personally.
It's a little cold.
Yeah, but they got it to work. But the thing is that it only works if it's squished between two diamonds to pressures that are 75% higher than those found at Earth's core. So it's not really practical. I mean, you know, you're not just going to have a bunch of diamonds smashing stuff around and not kind of be useless energy to. I mean, superconductors are great, but the exchange is not worth it. You know what I mean?
Right.
But it did prove that we can have superconductors. We just got to figure out the right material.
Yeah. So the point is, they have ways to like. It's conceivable to get it to run cooler, which is kind of
hotter
or hotter.
Yeah, to have perfect 100% efficiency at room temperature, because you know electronics all overheat and everything.
I see what you're saying. So yeah. Okay. Yeah, because that's kind of the thing with seems to be the ceiling they hit with a lot of electronics. Like they can keep shrinking down, adding more whatever's capacitors, however it works. But the issue always becomes like heat.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. I actually understood this one this week.
Right. It would make a huge difference in anything electronic. So.
Yeah, I'm down with that. So
we're
the diamond pressure thing.
Yeah. Just maybe it's easier than we think. Maybe they could just make like an outer casing of diamond with huge pressure that all of the superconductors are lined with, like an insulator. I mean, yeah.
That sounds like
they
it's going to
use
be
time crystals.
Wow.
Either way, it sounds like it's going to be affordable.
Yes.
Time crystal or diamond time crystal encasing. It's not for style. It has to be that way.
Yeah. We need 75% of the pressure of their score at all points through the superconducting material. So,
cheap.
Cheap
You get it at Walmart, right?
I don't know if I'd want to buy the Walmart brand of.
Oh God, no.
All right, Jesse, do you have anything to say before we go?
The one thing. This weekend there is going to be a event at Krypton Comics and EMC. What do you call them? Sister Brother Podcast Network affiliate. Podcast Network affiliate. Moose's Monster Mash and Bull Spit with Moose. He's going to be involved. Tank Zombie Studios was going to maybe be there, but because of the pandemic, we've decided that we're not going to, just because we have a lot of things that people would have to physically touch, and we just, it just doesn't seem safe for us. But go ahead and go support our podcast brother in arms, Mr. Moose, who always listens to the show. He'll be at Krypton Comics from, I think it was noon to 4-ish, something around there.
Interesting. Well, I guess that makes sense, because he would spend most of the summer doing convention stuff.
Yeah,
I was gonna say he's doing things. He's moving and shaking. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Or that sounds cool. But yeah, okay, cool. I didn't know he was doing
wear your mask if you're gonna come.
Yeah.
Yep.
Be responsible, because we are in a pandemic. But that's it's going to be an outdoor event, so there should be plenty of space, and you should be able to be responsible.
I mean, I don't know if you. I'm sorry. What?
I was just gonna say, if you're not like really hot, maybe wear gloves too if you're gonna be handling a lot of items.
True.
Just
Good call.
Don't touch your face and wash your hands.
Yes. Stay away.
That's all I got.
People got cooties. Stay 6 feet away.
They got mom and dad too.
Right. Okay, so thanks for listening, everybody. I don't have anything to promote, I believe. So Halloween's coming. It's real close now. I mean, we're in it. It's all October. So go watch some horror stuff. Go find something with puppets.
Yeah,
or
tell
even
us about it.
Mhm.
If you're looking for something short and easy that would work, and you have Shudder, I've realized suddenly there's more strings than what would makes this English convenient. What would makes this English? Creepshow, the series on Shudder. If you watch episode 1, it's got a doll story that's actually I enjoyed quite a bit.
Mhm.
So, all right, take it easy, everybody. Have a good weekend. Bye.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Also, if doppelgangers aren't real, and if they were, they definitely wouldn't be us. We're not doppelgangers.